Richmond, make some fucking noise!
I am afraid of my grandmother's note cards. Someday they will stop showing up. When I was in 4th grade, a teacher of mine told me it would be a good idea for college in 4th grade to play violin. So I started playing violin, and then I was like, I kind of hate this, but it led to something good.
When I was a kid, I really liked Shakira. When I was a kid, I fucked with Hips Don't Lie by Shakira.
When I was really little, I had this pink boombox that was like, it was mostly pink, but it had a little purple on it. And I would listen to Miley Cyrus's Breakout album. It was like that and the Hannah Montana album, so like I got the best of both worlds.
Stop. My mom played guitar when I was growing up, but also I remember being in the car with my mom and she would play the Gorillaz. And that's my earliest memory of like a band.
Listening to those like CDs with children's songs in the car, I feel like the first one that I can really call to memory was Baby Beluga. I loved Baby Beluga when I was little. That and the one about the mosquito stepping on the elephant's toe.
Was probably in preschool. We used to have like pretty much every single day specific dedicated times to singing songs and playing instruments.
Probably listening to like the Jonas Brothers or something with like in the back of my mom's like old like minivan with my sister, probably like Radio Disney like on the speaker.
Probably like one of those like little toy xylophone things. I remember I learned how to play like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on like one of the like toy xylophones.
That song, Check Yes Juliet. I remember being so obsessed with that song as like a kindergartner or first grader or however old I was.
Dancing with my dad in his room with his little like black iPod, and he had like Hell's Bells on it and like really dad music and like Dave Matthews Band we would always listen to.
I'm listening to it constantly. Yeah, it's just in my head all the time, I think.
I listen to music like every day, kind of like all day. It helps me stay really calm, especially dealing with, like customers and all that.
If I spend time near the end of the day, it has to be when I'm like alone and no one else is awake. I like to like put on pop or like disco and dance.
I listen to music all the time. The headphones stay glued to my ear. It's kind of like white noise.
I listen to it all the time, but just to have that creative energy to pull from all day is a great tool. It's a great like tool that you can kind of keep in the back of your mind and on your phone and just be able to call to memory and all of that.
I'm either always listening to music or thinking about music, or it's just like playing in the background of my head.
I just listen to music like every day. Like I need to have a soundtrack. How am I supposed to do my silly little tasks without like my silly little songs?
I do typically listen to music like while getting ready for something, while being in the car. During like my current job, I do listen to a lot of music because it takes me a little while to get there. I also listen to music in the pool. I got a pair of MP3 like wireless Bluetooth headphones, and they work in the water and they're very cool.
What I listen to will just like vary a little bit. I make monthly playlists.
I feel like it definitely gets me out of my head whenever like I'm just like thinking so many thoughts, like I need some sort of background. I just like turn to my music.
I think I was in Italy, and I downloaded a Green Day song, and I was like, this is the most emotional thing I've ever heard. I was like crying on the bus in Italy. I don't know, that was just the first time like I could see how much music can move people, I guess.
Every band that I really listen to, like I literally have tattoos for a couple. I definitely wouldn't be who I am without the music I listen to, so.
I had been going through a really rough patch. I ended up getting really into like deathcore metal. I like came back to high school, different white hair, like leather jacket, everything, like the whole shebang. I was so angry. It very much like reflected in my music.
When I was a sophomore in college, I listened to a lot of Mitski. I was so profoundly depressed that like after I saw that, after Spotify Wrapped came out, I had to stop listening to Mitski and I switched to 90s hip hop. Mitski, beautiful music, made me depressed. Jay-Z saved me.
Joni Mitchell performing at the Grammys this year. To see her performing it at her age and like realizing that, you know, these thoughts that we have when we're young, when we're in our 30s and 40s, like we carry that with us. Music is eternal and it's something that we'll take with us until we die.
It always surprises me every single time. It's like you find something and you're like, wow, I've never connected with something as much as this, and then you find another thing.
The first time that I went to Strange Matter, which is that like old abandoned venue on Gray Street that I always talk about, and I went there with like my mom and like my two friends. I think I was like maybe 16. Yeah, I saw Tiger's Jaw there, and I just remember feeling like, wow, like I'm a teenager, and like this is really cool that I'm like getting to do this right now. I'm like in the city that I want to like end up in. I'm seeing this band I'm like obsessed with. I don't know, that I just felt like very like.
I think that a lot in like high school was when I still play guitar. I definitely was interacting with it more on like a daily basis. I think that was more of the creative outlet that spoke to me at that point in time and really served a purpose there.
Between my freshman and sophomore year of high school, like I was having trouble being able to like feel emotions, particularly during that time, but also throughout different time periods after that. Certain music it'll just help me kind of feel things.
In the car, listening to Six Below with my friend Kaysen. I think just like looking out the window, I was like realizing some things and reflecting on things, and I think that moment kind of just made me feel like I just grew as a person in that moment.
It is a thing that people will listen to music when they're sad, like sad music when they're sad, so that they almost feel like validated. I do that. I mean, like,
yeah. No, if I like am having like a really shitty day and like just want to be upset, I got music for that. Like I have to like get through the emotion instead of just being like, it'll go away. No, I gotta like crank it up to like 100. That way I'll like crack.
I would say I used to do it negatively and positively. Now I just do it more positively, because when I did it like in a negative way, I was like self-sabotaging.
I feel like the music I listen to follows the energy that I already have for the day, but it's kind of like pouring gasoline on a fire, which just kind of amplifies everything. Like, happy music will make me feel so much better if I'm already happy, and then sad music will make me feel so much worse.
Oh, both. I feel like mostly negatively, but you know. I love listening to sad songs. I love to be somber and look out the window and have my little like YouTube music video moment of, oh, I'm so emo.
I don't know, I use it for both. I use it sometimes if I'm in a bad mood, I'll use happy music to brighten the day, I guess. But I also sometimes, you know, if I'm sad, I like to listen to sad music and like wallow in my pity.
Okay, yeah, sometimes I do like make myself cry with the song. Like sometimes I'm like, I need to cry right now, and if I don't get this emotion out, like I think I'll die. As I've gotten older, like I have more like happy playlists, I feel like, than I do sad playlists.
More so positively, I've been more into like upbeat, either like upbeat in a hyperpop way, or they're like upbeat in a rock or otherwise way.
If I'm in a bad mood, sometimes distracting myself from my bad mood, or if I'm just going through like a little bit of a rough time. I am known to just kind of shut off when I listen to kind of sadder music that time. It kind of just lets me allow myself to feel things a bit more.
I feel like whenever I'm sad, I'll definitely listen to like my sad playlist and just kind of like pity myself a little bit and just kind of wallow in it.
A lot of like soul 70s 80s rock, which is what my parents used to listen to. You know, as soon as I throw any of that on, like I just get transported back to being 10.
My like favorite bands they're kind of like my all-time like knuckle puck. You know, like they'll always be like my favorite, but they definitely don't symbolize like a time in my life now. Like now I'd be rocking with the Wonder Years because I get older and I'm like, yeah, their music is way better the older you get. I've also started listening to like literal brain rot music that in 5 years when I'm like 28, I'll be like, why did I listen to that?
I was really into Lady Gaga when I was really little. I was very theatrical as a kid, and then I kind of switched to like, I got sad in like 8th grade, and then I discovered Paramore. And then it was like, that was the beginning of my angry art. I think in the pandemic, I like got really into like Phoebe Bridgers and Mitski, which was like, I don't really listen to Phoebe anymore. So I think that I'm in my happy arc.
When I think about adolescence or like being younger, I think about boy bands a lot. I think about One Direction. Middle school, really into emo bands. I think about like the pop punk scene. That kind of shaped me in my style. Like all-time low, Panic at the Disco. High school, I got into K-pop. College, my indie era. I feel like every period of my life I had a genre.
That kind of alternative, you know, Halsey 21 Pilots scene. Cage the Elephant was like a big part of my early high school years. Been really into rock, like older rock, but that kind of that soft rock I've been listening to, and prog rock. A lot of King Crimson and the Smiths recently. As you go through life, you find certain albums and certain artists that just the sound of their music and the material that they have really resonates with you.
Yeah, I definitely have artists and songs that are very much associated with certain periods of my life or places that I've lived in, whether that's just because that's who I was listening to at the time, or if that's an artist that I discovered at that time of my life or shared with people that were a part of my life at that time.
I feel like Phoebe Bridgers, especially like Garden Song and like I Know the End, I think a lot about COVID, being in lockdown, and like the only thing that I could do is either like rot in my parents' bed. When I wasn't doing that, I would just like drive and listen to those two songs like on repeat and just like do the same drive, and it was always at like a really disturbing like late time at night, like after midnight.
Oh, 100%. I feel like pretty common experience as far as like growing up in the digital age is like kind of having like one or two artists that you really like, and then they kind of grow with you. And sometimes like I've grown out of artists as well, but I feel like I still have like respect for like that time in my life.
It was around the time that my mom passed away. Like the music that I listened to during that time, which was Yola Tango, Modest Mouse, Mitski's album Laurel came out during that time. I used to think, oh, I feel like that music is ruined for me now. But I think I'm now in more of a place where I can listen to that. It just reminds me how much I've overcome.
Me and my siblings have this joke that like Sunday at like 5 p.m. is like Dave Matthews time, because my parents would always just like during Sundays on the weekend, like we'd just be listening to Dave Matthews. I feel like now I'm very influenced by my parents' like music. I think just like what's around me, that like right now like my coworkers, they listen to a lot of rap and hip hop, so I've been listening to a lot more hip hop recently.
Every function I go to, I pull out a bunch of new music for my friends. I'm like, you guys gotta hear this, and then they do the same thing. It's brought me and a lot of people a lot closer together.
Yeah, like this interview, I made pretty much all of my friends through music. I showed a lot of my friends a lot of music they've come to love. They've shown me a lot of music I've come to love. When I meet people, the first thing I ask them is like their favorite genres and then their like favorite artists.
I've always been like really into music because of like my parents. I was exposed to like a lot of different types of music. It helps me with like socializing with other people to have that to like fall back on, like to talk with out with people.
I guess the live music scene, especially in Richmond, where there's so much performance, especially people our age. Like, lots of my friends are in bands, and every weekend I'll go and I'll see my friends perform. That is a huge connector. Like, I pretty much made all of my friends through the music scene. A ton of my friends that I made growing up online were because we listened to the same bands, and I still talk to those people today.
Hearing that other people go through similar things. Anytime I listen to a Mitski song, I'm like, yeah, she gets it. We're in this together, Mitski, me and you. We're sad girlies.
Love going to live shows with my besties. Again, sending music to people, talking about music with people. It honestly is something that connects me to a lot of my close friends, as we all love music and connect over music.
I was not someone who had like an easy time participating in things. Music was the way that I like coexist with other people comfortably, and like it felt really safe.
I definitely met a lot of people like through like different artists that I liked. There was like a certain sense of like identity of like, oh, I like this one artist, so somebody else who likes the same artist as much as I do, they're pretty much the same person as me.
Like, say, like friends and I like have similarities in music. I feel like like even though we may have different tastes like outside of this, like this is one that we really yeah.
I don't know, just like the first thing that anyone, like such a good icebreaker is just like, what music do you listen to? I'm such an eclectic music person that I can really probably talk about like any sort of genre.
I make playlists sometimes that are like movie soundtracky, just so that, you know, if I'm walking around on a nice fall day, like I can throw on, you know, some nice instrumental music with some strings and guitars and pianos and whatever.
Like, as like a physical place, I kind of don't really do that. Most of my music listening pertains to like mood or something.
I don't really go out much.
Like my painting studio. Like, I listen to classical music when I paint. I feel like I work better when I do that.
I really associate my car with music and being able to listen to music, and like such a great place to pass the time and just kind of connect the lyrics and the melodies to the road. It's not about however many minutes it is, it's like how many songs is it to get to one place to the next.
I like listening to music when I'm out and about, I guess. An extra element to like your experience, you know, if you're like walking around or going to do something or in a certain mood, you just add the music and it's like a whole nother layer of like sensoriness.
I guess like posters, pictures of artists that I like, and like concerts. Like, I have like one behind me.
Adding music into something that is kind of quiet, or like even riding my bike or doing other things that like are kind of solitary, it gives another dimension to that activity.
When I was on the James for a month, I didn't have service for a good amount of it. I ended up writing the songs that I would get stuck in my head throughout my time on the river, and then I made a playlist afterwards.
I try to do the ambiance things that like I'll set different like studying music versus like sleep music. Walking though, whenever I'm walking or like when I'm changing locations, I have to have some sort of like background.
Yeah, if I'm in my apartment, I'm listening to like jazz, ambient stuff, I'd say orchestral stuff. If I'm in public, usually I'm listening to something more high energy. I gotta amp myself up to be social.
I listen to so much music that it kind of just pervades everything.
When I'm at the library, I'll listen to jazz or like samba. It keeps you going, but at the same time, you don't have to focus on the lyrics.
I listen to pop music when I'm at the grocery store, either hyper pop music or like really sad music when I'm in my bedroom. And then the car is for my neutral indie fun music.
If I am driving, usually at night or like long distances, I'll play more upbeat or more angry or more harsh music to keep me awake and keep me focused.
I generally just kind of have giant playlists that have a bunch of just random stuff, and I like skip through until I find what I want to listen to half the time.
I will not listen to my cringe stuff in my car. No one will hear me listening to like 21 Pilots in my car. I like refuse. When I'm walking around campus, I try to like I have to listen to like my cool like artsy stuff, you know what I mean?
It depends on like my mood. I feel like I always have like 3 or 4 playlists going, and I'll like rotate through them, and then I'll make like a new set of playlists, and once I'm bored with those, I'll go back to the old playlist and then kind of rinse and repeat.
I wouldn't say necessarily different places, but throughout different times of the year. My music in the summer is definitely different than what I listen to like gloomy like winter.
Definitely like when I'm getting ready or I'm hyping myself up, I have to have that like quick, fast paced. Like sometimes I'll put on like hip hop instead of like my alternative.
I mean, I've gotten the chance to like meet some artists, which I guess is seeing the artist, but also, you know, getting to like talk to those people, even for like 5 minutes. It's really cool. Also just like seeing what the audience for that artist looks like is kind of a funny thing to do, I guess. And sometimes even like seeing who comes on before or after your favorite artist can put you onto somebody completely new.
Going with my friends, I don't really go to shows alone, even though I can. It's fun to like share that with people, and then like especially when the crowd is really good. I've met some like really cool people at shows. Yeah, like when the crowd's banging, the concert itself is like it's so much better. If it's a mid-ass crowd, that show kind of sucks.
The energy in the place. When I went to see The Garden, it wasn't even that they were that great. It was the energy of the place was so fun.
I think it depends, because sometimes the crowd is so awful that I just have a bad time. But when there's a good crowd, the band doesn't really matter, because everyone's having a good time. And it's fun to like feel like you're a part of something.
I really like the ambiance and like getting to talk to other people who are also fans and just like being able to all sing along. It's like group karaoke, especially when you have beer, then it's really fun.
Just sharing that experience with the people around you. It's fun to just know that you're all hearing the same thing at the same time and just like experiencing similar or the same emotion, especially when you see other people getting emotional to a song that makes you emotional or like relating to it. Oh, we're all coming together kind of moments, and it's wholesome, especially now when you don't get a lot of that anymore. I feel like interact in person less and less and less.
The energy of the crowd, it will like make or break a show. The energy in the room is why I'm there. And I really like it when like the crowd gets like really like almost like aggressively into it. Like you can feel kind of how like long everyone else in the room has like kind of built up to that like one like hour and a half.
Especially in bigger audiences, how captivated like every single person in that audience is, especially when it's like a bigger show. Many of these people are like very big fans of this artist, so they know like every single word, they know what's gonna happen.
Seeing people's outfits can be really fun. Or just like seeing other people also enjoying the music. The experience of the live music together, like it makes me feel happy.
I love watching people's reactions to it, or just like people just like dancing with each other and just like having fun, or like just like headbanging and like not caring about what they look like, or like being like cute or pretty, like literally just like feeling the music like emotionally. Like I love watching people do that.
I write poems to, you know, all kinds of music. Like, I mean, it depends on the subject matter, I guess. I mean, even for my own music, because I also make music in my own time. If I'm running out of ideas, or I don't know, you know, what to add to something, I might go reference a different track. Or if I need to get into a certain headspace to even paint, which I don't really do that often, but if I was going to do that, like, I would definitely have to have some music on to throw me in the right direction.
When I made art, I literally made all of my art based off of music. So I did like pretty much all digital art. I started making album covers for people and like, you know, just things for them to release like singles and stuff. And like free time / I'm not getting paid for it, I made art for just like the songs I would listen to, like pick out a line and be like, that's cool. A band posted it on their story twice, which is fucking cool.
When I was really sad and like listening to Phoebe, I would write like poetry. I don't write poetry anymore. I'm much more into like dance. Just like more of like a private thing.
Other than the music I write myself, I see it in like every painting that I do. I feel like there's a musicality when I do it. And the music that I listen to really shapes how I paint. I used to listen to Mitski when I paint, and I felt like my paintings were so much more sad. I started listening to pop music when I paint, and everything felt like so much brighter. And now that I listen to classical music when I paint, everything feels a bit more gentle.
It's kind of putting playlists together for certain stories and things, and then sitting there, and most of it's art that I never show anyone and never like really comes to light. It's like half-finished doodles and stuff like that of character designs that I think would go with the story, that would go with this specific playlist of like, this song would play when this happens, and this song would be playing at the end credit. Kind of being able to visualize that in my head, set to music and set to songs.
I don't create as much art anymore as I used to when I was younger, but I definitely used to use it a lot when I like drawing and painting, writing stories, or even now just sometimes when I'm just writing creative stuff or like journaling, I like to listen to music to kind of get in a specific mood. I used to like write songs on the piano too.
I definitely like wouldn't have started playing music if it wasn't for like the music that I was like listening to as a kid and as a teenager. I used to like doodle a lot in middle school, like angsty during my classes, listening to like 21 Pilots and My Chemical Romance and like that stuff, like all the good middle school stuff. Drawing like pictures of like edgy, like with like the fringe, like no one understands. It was a really like cringe outlet, but it was like an outlet.
I listen to a lot of music while I do like crochet and stuff like that. I also do listen to a lot of podcasts. It kind of can prime the inspiration. I dabble a little bit in songwriting, not as much anymore because I've been incredibly busy. You know, we're limited to our own experiences and what we hear and what we're surrounded by. So I think that like the things that you choose to be surrounded by or are surrounded by anyway will subconsciously influence the things that you choose to create.
Sometimes if I am making something and I put on a little playlist, sometimes I'll also make playlists just for the occasion. I normally listen to just kind of like chill music.
I'm not very good at creating my own words. Like I take a lot of other people's words to kind of describe what I'm feeling. I'm a very big lyrics person. I've noticed like a lot of them are very bird oriented and like, I don't know, just like being free and taking flight.
Yeah, there's something about like weird artists that I really like. I do think that sometimes like the weirder the artist, the more likely I am to be like, what's going on with this person and checking them out. And you can totally tell like what parts of my own style I get from certain artists and stuff. So like I totally just jacked some people's style.
Matt Caracas is like one of my favorite artists. His solo stuff kind of has like a pretty general, like ethereal kind of feel to it. Even though I already liked his band before I got into his solo music, the art and everything really got me into it.
For a little while, I've been getting into like dark wave, post-punk, and like goth. Very influential how the artists presented themselves.
I don't really listen to Bjork that much. What I have listened to is because I was really interested in like the persona that she's kind of created. Big throwback, Marina and the Diamonds Electra Heart era. The visuals of that album were so good, it shifted everything for me, and I had to listen to everything she ever released.
I feel like one of the main reasons I got into like visual K, like Japanese visual K, is because I just love how all of the artists were dressed in the like crazy hair, and like they really took that kind of classic rock vibe and they just put their own spin to it. One, just the androgyny behind it, I really dig that. I think it's super interesting to see a really conservative nation, because Japan, you know, strict gender rules. All those people who go out there and it's like, I don't really listen to Harry Styles anymore, but like it is nice to see kind of younger queer people are getting into his music because of the way he presents himself.
It's not very often that I've discovered an artist through their aesthetics or through their visuals and then pursued the music. It's definitely been the opposite way around, where I've grown into an artist's aesthetic because I like their music.
You know how like all of the indie folk musicians use that like metal font now? That is very like appealing to me. I don't know if that's like why I got into it.
I think that definitely, when I was younger, influenced a lot, because it's like, wow, like this person makes music that I like, and they're also like really cool, and their fashion choices are really cool. And usually it's like, if I like their music, I'm probably also gonna like their aesthetic because it translates over.
I used to listen to a lot of 90s grunge and alternative rock when I was in middle school and high school, and I feel like, as well as like the music being like the style of the time, like I still listen to a lot of 90s.
what comes to mind is maybe like Greta Van Fleet, that I think that their just like vibe and their style is like what drew me to them so much. I mean, their vocals are incredible, but also like I think just like the way that they're just like barefoot on stage, like the way that they just like are so like down to earth. I was just like, hey, I kind of wanna vibe to this music.
It really depends on the context, I think. It really depends on the genre, especially if I'm listening to some like indie whatever. Like, I think I almost value lyrics and sound equally, but if I'm listening to like dirty jazz piano, some crazy drums going in the background, I mean, you could be saying whatever you want, you know, like jazz artists or what are they talking about, man?
When I was younger, the lyrics a lot more, because I was like super edgy and like 14 years old and like sad all the time. And I was like, oh man, this is, damn, he said that. I still like when the lyrics are good. I actually now, I kind of hate when they're super in your face, but now I prefer like if a song is going to have like a super emotional charge to it, you have to like actually analyze it and be like, oh damn, that's what they meant, versus like, I hate myself, I want to die. Like, I don't know, I can't do that anymore.
I used to be more focused on lyrics because I was like grasping for something to like relate to, but now I don't feel like I have to grasp onto someone else's feelings to describe my own. I more look for like the vibe of the song and like the sound of it and the beat, how it like feels in my body.
I want to say the sound matters more, but if the lyrics are bad, it will ruin the experience for me. I have listened to some songs with some really corny lyrics just because they sound really good.
You know, you can listen to music in different languages. You don't know what the fuck they're saying, but if it has a nice sound, you're still gonna want to listen to it.
Lyrics, because I feel like that's genuinely what I connect to the most. If I can like relate to what they're saying, or if they're like oh, they're just talking about my life, and it may sound weird, but like it's like poetry almost.
The lyrics. Absolutely the lyrics. I am in it for the storytelling.
I think sound. I like a little beat. The sound can convey like so much more versus like there's so much more to it. It's like the poetry part of the music, but I also think that it has to be conveyed well with like the sound. Otherwise the lyrics aren't going to come across the correct way.
The sounds. Like there definitely are lyrics that strike me like need to be into the sound.
Definitely lyrics. Like I've had this conversation with my boyfriend and he's definitely a sound person. Like I will like be like, listen to this song, and he's like, it's all right. And I'm like, you don't understand the emotional like tie I have to this song. Like it's so incredible. And so he's just like a beats person. Like he's like, I love to listen to the sounds, like, but I'm definitely a lyrics person.
Hi, I'm Jess. I am the creator of the Harmony Unveiled project. This is my senior thesis project. The goal of this project was to explore music and how it intersects and interacts with different aspects of humanity and society and just humans in general. I did that through not only this interview with some of my close friends, but I also did some research and I compiled them into these little CD booklets for my final project. It was featured at Studio 23 in Richmond, Virginia. I'm very proud of this project. I think I was able to grasp what makes music so human, both from a more formal research publication side of things, but also from a more real, raw human experience side of things. Music has been a huge part of my life ever since I was young. This project is kind of a love letter to myself, the world around me, my life experience, and it's also a love letter to my friends. They're very important to me. Music just connects all of us so deeply. It's so ingrained in us as humans. Thank you for watching. To my friends, thank you for participating. I can connect to you guys very deeply through music, and I'm really, really grateful for my friendships and the way my life has been shaped by music. It's just something that I can't really describe sometimes, how deeply it affects me. See you guys soon, I guess.